What is good, Tsla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'll break down what's going on with the economic calendar as we have more data coming out at 10 a.m. What the news is saying about the markets and earnings in Tesla, what you should be watching for as time progresses, as I break down the charts to give you guys some price predictions. But before I break into the devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit $500 into the account, you are guaranteed 20 free stocks. If you put in $25,000 or more, you're guaranteed 75 free stocks. The offer ends very soon, in just about a week, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, now let's break down what's happening with Tesla. I want to mention that Tesla's currently at 202 right now. We still have this nice inverse head and shoulders like structure, which still looks bullish for Tesla, even if we do retrace just a little bit right here. We did talk about this thing retracing just a bit yesterday before this thing tries to continue to push higher. I still think Tesla has potential to do so, but we have to watch some data that's going to come out, and we're going to be looking at PPI and also the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report. Break down how this could affect Tesla and what I think about the share price real quick before I talk about the charts. So I first want to mention that we just had the PPI report that came out. PPI month over month was at 0.3%. That is above expectations. Same thing with core PPI, up 0.5% month over month, above expectations. Core PPI year over year was at 2% above expectations. Same thing with PPI year over year, above expectations. So PPI was hot. We got a hot PPI. And then what else is going to be coming out will be Bard giving a speech at 9:10 a.m. So with the hot PPI, this is kind of like indicative that there's a possibility of another increase in CPI. It's not what producers want to see, and this is just another sign that we could see another increase in prices. So it's not the best of things you want to hear. The market's responding kind of negatively. We're seeing a little drop so far, but the market's also trying to bounce at the time I'm speaking. So it's not as significant as CPI, but this is a leading indicator. So it does suggest that in the future, CPI could come in hot as well. Now, what else I'm going to be watching for is at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Reports. I'll be watching this carefully. We have the 5-year inflationary expectations. We also have the consumer expectations and such, the current conditions report. This is important because it's going to give us a good gauge of how sentiment is looking and what consumers expect for the future of inflation. Because when there's different expectations, it tends to affect the numbers based off spending and such. So with that being said, watch for volatility at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The market could either drop really hard or even bounce, so be very careful. We also have Daly from the Fed giving a speech at 12:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but 10 o'clock a.m. is when we have the next major piece of data, and after that, things get quiet. Now, the market's been pumping. We saw the S&P 500 pump more the last couple of days, of getting very close to all-time highs. Today, we just reached 20 cents below all-time highs on SPY, became very close. So very interesting stuff, but we'll see if the market's ready to shift or not. We also had Shake Shack shooting up 26%, had very, very strong earnings, which is good news for them. They are quite popular, so that's awesome to hear. On top of this, there's more news involving Jim Farley and something he said about Tesla. I'll be talking more about this in just a few minutes. Toast, which is a restaurant management software, so it has to lay off 550 employees or 10% of its workforce. So that's something worth noting, adding to the tech layoffs. And then we also have Intuitive Machines making its first attempt to reach the moon. That's thanks to the public SPAC merger, and the stock soared at 34% as a result. So that's good news for them. What's going on with some more earnings? Just as to call them out, I just want to mention that Cinemark announced earnings. Air Canada. Cinemark is important because it's up 3% as revenue beats the offsets. The revenue beat offsets the wider than expected loss, so not too bad. It's kind of flat now, though. It was up, now it's flat. The Ford CEO tells Wall Street to forget about Tesla, and he's saying that the pro business is the future of the auto industry, citing that their driver assistance is stronger. I just want to note that I don't really agree with what the Ford CEO is saying here, but remember, they could have a completely different intention. Remember what their motive is when they say what they have to say. Obviously, they have Ford's best interest at hand, and by saying this, they're just trying to spur up competition. They're trying to just get more attention to Ford. So never forget about that. Always remember what the motives are. So with Jim Farley basically doing this, Honestly, guys, it doesn't really matter much to me. I know the headlines are going crazy, but I think it's very simple. Ford makes great pickups, they make great products, and I want the best for them. They have good technology, good driver assist modes, but Tesla is in a league of its own. It's fully electric. They have insane improvements to FSD, and Tesla still is very, very bullish in my opinion. I don't really like comparing them, but I just want to say that we should not trivialize the future. Let's be real here, guys. Tesla is the future. Tesla is incredibly strong as well, and I'm not going to let anyone kind of like tell me otherwise. I still believe in Tesla, and I just think that the Ford CEO is just after attention, after clicks. They don't have to say things like this, but they do this to get as much exposure as possible. So by doing so, maybe it could work in Ford's benefit, getting them more attention, getting them more sales. Maybe not, but it is what it is. I don't truly trust everyone because of what the narratives and motives they could have. But I personally just disagree with what the CEO said. I think they're both good companies. I think Tesla is the future nonetheless. Ford could be the future too with their technologies, but you can't rule out Tesla. Now, there are a lot of headlines coming out that Tesla is a major player in California. 1 in 8 cars sold was basically a Tesla, at least in California. But in Q4, Tesla sales dropped 10%. And they're saying that this is happening because of Elon Musk, because of higher prices, and other factors like that. I personally don't think it's solely just that. I do think that that could play somewhat of a role as a possibility, but it's also the high interest rate environment and the current macroeconomic conditions. So that's very important to note. Could it be Musk as well? It sure could be. That's also another possibility. But I think this article doesn't talk enough about the macroeconomics and it talks too much about Musk and such. So that's something worth noting, but that's something that's expected in this current environment. That's why Tesla's been cutting prices. What do I see for the share price? The answer is it's still bullish. It is going to retrace a little bit. We'll see how well it holds 202. If you lose 202, it's going to come down towards 200 and even 198. But I don't really think it's going to drop that hard. You can see it's actually trying to base at 202 already. So it's still showing some strength up here. It ran so hard, so of course it's going to drop. And PPI did come in a little hot, so that's expected. But as you can see, we have this gap to fill at 207, and then we have another resistance at 212. I think Tesla will still fill the gap at 207 soon. Could it be today? Possibly, or maybe by next week it should. For today, we're going to be watching to see if this thing can just try to base a little bit. As long as we hold above 200, I think it's going to kind of pop and reopen, come back down, maybe trade a little sideways from here. But then eventually, I do see it breaking out, especially next week to 207 and 212. I still see upside potential in Tesla, but because PPI came in hot, that's a little negative for the markets. Markets dropping a bit. But watch and see what the market does at 10 a.m. to see if we get a big move. I think Tesla's going to pop and reopen, kind of trade sideways for a bit in this range, and eventually break out later on. I still think it has potential to do so. So make sure you watch your levels. We have resistance at 202, 205, and 207 on Tesla. We have support at 200, not to mention 198. So look for a little bounce on Tesla, and we'll see how well it does. For the time being, for SPY, we're trying to base at 501. Now, I said in my video that SPY was bullish, expect more upside. We actually met my target during the pre-market. It did push higher to this 503 level as we predicted, but now it's rejecting a bit thanks to PPI. So we have to watch, is this about to form kind of like a cup and handle? Or is SPY about to start a new downtrend and get a big rug pull? So we'll just have to wait and see. I think that's going to try to bounce here when we open at 501, trying to get back above the 502s. Then we could see a big reaction after the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report comes out. And after that, we'll just have to see what it does. But make sure you watch 502's resistance in 503.5. For support, watch 500. 500 is not a strong support, but 499 is going to be more significant because if we lose 499, a bigger drop is coming. In my opinion, look for a little pop when we open and watch for a big move after the Michigan data comes out, and we'll see how well this thing could react. In my video from yesterday, I said we might push higher, but watch the reaction after this resistance is touched. We did push to 503.5, but we weren't able to break it quite yet, and we'll see if we can try to get an attempt to do so later. So look for this little retracement, look for a bounce when we open, and then watch and see what happens after the Michigan data comes out. Watch resistance around 435, and then 436.75 would be our next target on the QQQ, followed by 438. And then for support, I'm going to be watching 434. If we lose this, 432 is next for the QQQ. We have the Michigan data coming out at 10 a.m. We are down a little bit thanks to the PPI report. We're still technically on an uptrend, so I'm going to be seeing if this can try to rebound to 436 when we open. And I think it might just consolidate for a bit. And we'll see if we get one more push back up towards the all-time high. So we'll have to wait and see for now. It also depends on the Michigan data, so be patient. I think when we open, it might pop a little bit and then just kind of range trade in this 436 range before it makes a bigger move later on. So watch for that very carefully. For Nvda, I just want to mention that Nvidia is kind of forming this cup and handle like structure. If we do get a breakout, if we break above the 740 area, this could help the QQQ push up higher. Watch 742 as tight resistance and 745. But if we reject here, we're going to be returning to 734 and 730. So be a little bit careful as we're at resistance at 740. Are we about to get a cup and handle breakout on Nvidia? If we get it, it's going to help the market push. If we fail to get it and reject, we're going to be returning back down to 730. So watch and see, will the cup and handle pan out, or will we end up rejecting? The best thing to do is try to be as patient as possible, and we'll see how Nvidia does. If we break 742 and 745, we turn really bullish. If we reject here, watch 734 and 730 as support, followed by 725. I think that Nvidia is kind of in the middle. It's fighting resistance, so it has upwards potential. And it is possible it pushes higher, but we have to just wait and see just for confirmation. For Aapl, I think that this is getting ready to base and possibly even bounce soon. So it is still looking kind of weak, but I want to see how well it holds 182. We have a slanted inverse head and shoulders that could be forming. We have to try to hold 182. If we bounce off this, we're going to be looking for a nice push to 184. If we fail to do so, 181 to 180 is coming. So we'll have to see how it does. I think that it's trying to base on the 182, so watch for that and see if we could get a bounce from here. But with that being said, guys, I have to end the video. It's kind of late. Have a great day. I'll see you guys very soon. Wait for 10 a.m. for some big volatility after the Michigan data comes out, and peace out.